that it doesn't sound like I'm underwater like it did last time. So fingers crossed about that. Also got a bunch of things to show you guys, so I'm super excited about all that. And I'm almost on time. I think I'm like 3 minutes late. It's not bad. Not bad for me. I got a big bag from Trader Joe's that my brother sent me some stuff. I got a gift from my wife and son in here that I want to show you. Got some other stuff. So, man, it's been quite a day. My birthday is today. Let's see. How's this angle? Down there a little bit. My birthday is today, which is also the anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Hello, Nick. Nick, how does my audio sound? Does it sound any better? I'm hoping it's better. I bought this mic, which is rather uncomfortable, so doing that just for you. A lot better. All right, I like a lot better. I got cool stuff to show off. I'm going to start with, I got this bag here from my friend Jess. Jess sent this bag, so I got multiple bags here. Jess sent this bag to me last time I saw her, so I've had this sitting there, and I added some stuff to it. But Jess was, I think you're allowed to say this now. I believe she's posted this online. She was a cast member at Star Wars Star Cruiser, Galaxy Star Cruiser. So at Galaxy Star Cruiser, she has some cool stuff for me. This I just love. That's pretty cool. Not Star Wars related in any way, but very cool. It's got the, that's not Donald though. I think that is one of his, good Lord, one of his nephews. My son is upstairs and I can hear him jumping around. So he's clearly got a beach ball or a basketball and is pounding it around the living room, which is great. It's just what living rooms are for. So these are from the Star Cruiser, I believe. This says, does it say Carolina? No, Chandrilla Starline. These are like the coasters that they would give you over there, which is good because I got a beverage for my coaster. So we'll get to the TaB in a little bit, though. I got plenty of ice, so we're good with that. This is also, and I don't know what this. You guys can click that. I don't know what information this would give you, but these are from the bar at the Star Cruiser as well. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I collect all types of coasters. So any of these cardboard coasters. Now I don't collect ones that are made out of wood or anything, but any of these cardboard coasters, I collect them, and they're usually, you can just pick them up, stuff them in your pocket. So yeah, I would think it probably, especially nowadays, nobody wants to give you a paper menu. And I didn't get a paper menu from her, so I think you're 100% right. But like, look at this. I got one for Red Lobster. I got one, this is from 862 Orlando. I don't know what that is, but this was from the NBC Sports Place that's in Universal's City Walk. It's good, by the way. They got good wings there. We had dinner there. We had anticipated eating there once, and it was good enough we went back. I got this one, Skyfall, Heineken. I will, if I'm at a bar, I always say, can I have the coaster? I say, because my brother collects them, but it's a lie. I collect them, but I've always thought, if I say my brother collects them, and he does. If he goes to a bar, he asks for them and brings them to me. So, but if I say that it's for someone else, I feel like the bartender's like, oh, this is a nice guy. He's not just a big selfish jerk that wants to keep all the coasters. Yeah, James Bond is great. I don't like any of the ones with Daniel Craig. And I don't think it's because of Daniel Craig. I just think I don't like modern movies. This mic is like giving me a V-neck. I don't like modern movies. I just don't like, I find modern movies to be, what would the word I'd use? Unpleasant. I feel like those films are unpleasant. I feel like the older James Bond films to me are more pleasant. So I'm just going to adjust this. Hope it doesn't do anything wrong, but it looks like it's, I don't know. All right. So we were looking at Star Cruiser coasters. I think we've seen this one and we saw this one. So I got some extras. So I'll have to, next time I see my buddy Dana, he collects these things as well. So I should give him some. This is great. This is awesome. So this is not filled out, but I had never seen this before. How great is that? You think they're goofier with all the gadgets? What are we talking about, goofier with all the gadgets? Oh, the James Bond movies. Yes. No, I agree. I was thinking, weirdly, when you said gadgets, I thought of the little like mouse from Tailspin. I was like, oh yeah, well, of course, there's so many gadgets in the new multiverse. But this is great. So I got this as well. This makes me an honorary member of the, I don't know which one of my lights is making the thing go white, but an honorary member of the Dapper Dans. And it's signed by Mickey Mouse, but no date. Rescue Rangers. Okay. Chip and Dale. I remember when they did that Disney Saturday morning thing at the Disney parks, which was awesome. So this, look at this. This is great. Now, I never got to go on the Star Cruiser, but I have a boarding pass, an actual Star Cruiser boarding pass. It's got my itinerary on here. The vessel number, I'll read you all the information. So this is from August 17th to 19th, 2021. I don't know if that's the first voyage, but it may very well be. It says here, begin your journey. You got culinary, custodial, apply for transfer opportunities. So this is definitely like the employee one, because this says apply for transfer opportunities. So yeah, Jess gave me this. And how cool is this though? It's got the itinerary there. You can see what they had to do. Meet the officers, immersive crew training, arrival experience, onboard activities. Lots of good stuff. All right, here's some park maps. I'll go through some of these. I got other stuff other than park maps, but I did a live stream. For those of you who were not here for it, you're lucky. I did a live stream where I showed park maps, but we had some major audio issues. I'm hoping they don't resurface. If there are any audio issues, let me know. I'll pop this door open because the Wi-Fi is right up that direction, and I think it'll be better with the door open. However, it's winter in New Jersey, and so the heater is right out that door. So if I open that up, we'll hear the heater, which may make the audio bad. So it may make the Wi-Fi better, which may make the audio better, but then again, not sure. But I showed all these things then, but God knows people couldn't hear a thing I was saying, and everything was a mess. All right. This is from Sid Cawanga's. Sid Cawanga's used to be my favorite place in all of Disney World. So when you go in Disney Hollywood Studios, on the left-hand side, there's a little store called Sid Cawanga's. Now, Cahuenga, I didn't know this when I first would go there as a kid, but Cahuenga is a street that runs perpendicular with Hollywood Boulevard in real life. So if you go down Hollywood Boulevard, you'll get to Hollywood and Cahuenga. And that's how it's spelled, by the way, Cahuenga. And so Disney came up with this, like they do. They do all their backstories for everything. And so Sid Cahuenga is a made-up man, a Hollywood aficionado, who was named after Cahuenga Street, and then Sid Grauman. Now, Sid Grauman was the guy who created the Chinese theater. Sometimes you'll hear people refer to it as Mann's Chinese Theater because Ted Mann and the Mann Company purchased it and owned it for a while. Today it's the TCL Chinese Theater. But Sid was the guy who built it. It was Sid's theater. And Sid was quite a showman. Sid had previously opened several theaters. I believe the Chinese was the first one that he actually owned. He had an amazing knack of getting other people to pay for a theater that he would put his name on because he was a famous showman. He was famous for making movie theaters, not making movies. And what he would do is he would do these lavish events. So his theater he did called the $1 Million Theater was because it cost $1 million to build. And so people went, oh my God, it's $1 million. We got to go see it. And then he did this Egyptian theater, which is on Hollywood Boulevard, has this beautiful open forecourt, and they've restored it. It's a beautiful theater. Steven Spielberg did a lot of the restoration. If you ever want to see it falling apart and scheduled for demolition, you can watch the movie Jimmy Hollywood with Christian Slater and Joe Pesci. It's like one of the main plot points is that they're going to tear down the Egyptian, and they were. So it was like scheduled to be demolished. Anyway, so they took Sid's name, Sid Grauman's name, combined it with the name of Cahuenga Street, and they made a little shop. Now the physical location is still there, and there's still some cool stuff on the wall. They do pin trading in there. For a while, it was where you went to get help with your magic bands. I think it's still used somewhat like that. But this was a card that I got. Look at that, Disney MGM Studios. So this was $1. And this, they'd give you one of these tags with everything you bought. And I bought a lot of stuff there because you could go there and they would have like big time movie props and props from Universal movies too, which I always thought was funny. I really wanted, they had some props from the Flintstones movie, and my God, I wanted that stuff so bad. Yeah. Disney MGM. It's still hard for me not to call it that. But this was for a very cheap prop. So I bought a very cheap prop, and they would always they'd give you a certificate. They'd mail you the certificate when you bought something there. But they'd give you this with it. And so this was Loco Joe's label for Nash Bridges. And Loco Joe, it had a cartoon of Cheech Marin, and it was like his brand of salsas, a gag in one episode of the show. But they must have printed 100 labels so that they could sell them there for $1 a piece. I should show my props from there sometimes. I'm trying to think what my best one. The best prop I have from there, if you ever see the movie Blown Away with Tommy Lee Jones, which I absolutely loved, there is a whole sequence in that movie where there's like a videotape that they find, that Jeff Bridges finds, and he puts it in and he watches it, and it's like a message from the terrorist, which is Tommy Lee Jones. And there's one scene where Tommy Lee Jones has a little puppet, and he's holding like this puppet or doll, and he's got a priest collar on, and he does like, I sentence you, to damnation or something with the doll real quick. But that priest collar that Tommy Lee Jones was wearing, I not only have it, I bought it there, it was $75, but it had a number, it said number 1. And then after I bought it the next day, they had one for sale, which was number 2, which means that mine was the first one he would have worn. So if he shot the scene a number of times, maybe he got sweaty and they swapped it out, he might have worn more than one, but he definitely wore mine. And then another prop I have I have a couple props from Getting Even with Dad, which I have them framed. So I'll bring them and show them to you at another time. But I love movie props. Movie props are far more interesting. To me, movie locations and movie props are more interesting than movie stars. Like, I've been around movie stars. I've been around Christopher Lloyd. And it's very cool to see Christopher Lloyd in person. It was so much cooler to see the mall in person. Like, when I went to that mall, I was like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm physically in the space where Marty was. So, all right. So I got some cool old, all different eras of brochures. So I'm going to show you a couple of these, and then I'll show you some of the other stuff. But look at this. Florida's Sunken Gardens in St. Petersburg. There's some ladies there with the flamingos, and then on this side they've got flamingos. They used to have at Disney, they used to have these macaws. They still do over at Animal Kingdom, and you can see them fly around, and my God, it's wild. I mean, because obviously there are areas of the world where they fly around naturally, but it looks so strange. It looks like a cartoon, like it's going to sell you cereal or something. But they used to have outside the Rainforest Cafe in downtown Disney, they used to have like a bird lady who would stand there with the birds and tell you all about the birds. All right, so I'll show you this first, then I'll read I'll read some of it. We'll see if it's interesting. I'll read all of it, but I don't believe it will be. There, a paradise calling. There's no denying the feeling of mystery, the promise of romantic other worlds as you plunge into the cool forest-like depths of the beautiful sunken gardens. This unique experience, as attested to by more than 1/2 million people a year. It's got South Florida's largest walk-through aviaries, and then I want to show you this. So look, they show you the stuff they have here. They've got monkeys, they've got birds, and they've got Jesus. They have our Lord. They had this King of Kings exhibit. It says, one of Sunken Gardens' famous newest attractions is Leon Cheney's famous King of Kings displays, a magnificent presentation of the story of Jesus Christ in wax figures. So I think Sunken Gardens isn't around anymore, but I'm going to have to look it up, see what happened to it. But King of Kings, we were talking before about Grauman's Chinese Theater. King of Kings is the first movie that ever played there, and not the Jeffrey Hunter version that a lot of you have seen, but the older version, which starred H.P. Warner as Jesus Christ. It says the aviary, so the Zoo Miami has the biggest aviary. I bet they probably because these birds, I think, live for like 30, 40 years. So some birds from there might even still be alive and at some place like that. H.P. Warner, or H.B. Warner played Jesus in The King of Kings, the 1927 film that opened Grauman's Chinese Theater. And you guys know him better as Old Man Gower, who owned the drugstore in It's a Wonderful Life. He's the one who slaps Jimmy Stewart around as a kid when he's like, "Oh, not my ear! Don't hit my bad ear." So, all right, here is this was when I went to Walt Disney Studios in Paris, which when I went, they still had the backlot tour and Catastrophe Canyon, which I thought was amazing. But yeah, here is like if you want to see what Disney park times look like in a language I can't read, that's what they look like. All right, I'll show you one more of these, and then we'll see other stuff, and then maybe we'll come back to this. Not this one. All right, yeah, here. This sounds wonderful. This sounds delightful. Times Guide from 2015. I got the Times Guide here for Downtown Disney. You could see, let's see here, entertainment at Bongos. I think Bongos might have closed. Live music at Raglan Road. That I'm sure is still happening today. Splitsville. What else was going on there? Live music near Starbucks. I mean, it's not even called Downtown Disney anymore, so. What do we got on the back here? Bongo's Cuban Cafe. I did eat there once. That was, if I remember correctly, that was Gloria Stefan's restaurant. The Express Wolfgang Puck, which I remember hearing bad things about, and then I had breakfast there, and I mean, you know, wasn't bad. Earl of Sandwich. And then Food Quest. Oh, that was inside Disney Quest. Yeah, I have a Disney Quest brochure here. I love Disney Quest. I thought Disney Quest deserved better. Yeah, it's all called Disney Springs. They keep changing the name. When I was a kid, it was called the Marketplace, and they had like then they added Pleasure Island. But before that, it had been like the Buena Vista Shopping Village. And then they went with Downtown Disney, which I thought was perfect. And then they went to Disney Springs, which I don't think is as good of a name. The last time we were talking, I showed off this brochure, which I got to tell you, I had my mind blown on air, like that. I had been looking for this mall, and the Buena Park Mall. So this mall is still open today. It's got a slightly different name. I think it's called the Downtown Mall of Buena Park, but it doesn't look a lot like it did then. Back then, you could see this almost like staircase with plants on it. A lot of planters. They don't have any planters anymore. They do have this weird roof, and they don't have a lot of this brown wood that you can see in the picture. Everything's white there, like every mall today. But I was looking for this mall for a long time because in the movie She-Devil, there are two scenes in the mall. So if you ever see She-Devil, I went to a bunch of locations from She-Devil. It is a movie starring Roseanne Barr. It was her first feature film that she starred in, and Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is delightful in it. Roseanne Barr is, delightfully bad in it. Delightfully, not bad in a bad acting way, but just like she's evil. And it's a great movie. And there are two scenes in the mall. So there's one scene where Roseanne Barr is in the mall with the kids, and then there's a separate scene where Ed Begley Jr., which is her husband who leaves her for Meryl Streep's character, and Meryl Streep are at a book signing in the mall because Meryl Streep's character is an author. And they show the mall. And so I was trying to figure out, was it shot in New Jersey where most of the movie was, or was this a scene in California? Well, it was in this mall. Now, the reason I knew that was there are only two options. I knew that they did some filming, it said at a mall in Paramus, and I checked every mall in Paramus, and I couldn't line up one of the two shots. So the shot with her and the kids, I don't think I'll ever, unless somebody tells me where it is, I'll never know, because they were in front of that store. I think it was called either the Limited or the Unlimited, whichever name was a real store that existed in the 80s. They were in front of that store, which was in every mall. You could only see the front of that store and the escalator. And so, I might be able to match the escalator up, but like every escalator looks the same. There was a payphone. It was just called Limited. But wasn't it called The Limited or just Limited? I don't remember. Maybe they limited it to just Limited. But this Buena Park Mall, and you can see here they mark Disneyland on there. Disneyland's over here. Knott's Berry Farm's over here. The old wax museum, which was the greatest thing ever. Oh man, that wax museum was so good. I could tell you so many stories about that. But anyway, this is what the mall looked like. And they showed the mall in that movie, and you could see these planters. I'm positive it is this mall. I've now watched videos of it. There's not that many great videos of it, a handful of like walking around malls. Like people walk around and they show up the mall, but there's one that was kind of funny, but none of them that were really good at, sometimes you'll get, because there are a lot of mall aficionados, so sometimes you'll get somebody to be like, oh, I used to work in this mall. This was the bookstore. This was the, whatever, the pet store. I should probably do that at my mall. I think I need to get somebody that's maybe my age or older that has also memories of the mall, because then I could have two people going through the mall. Because then I feel like if you have one person and you say, oh, that's where, Spencer's Gifts was, and then the other guy is there, he could be like, no, Spencer's Gift was on the other side, and you can kind of work together. Anyway, the reason why, when I searched for malls, I didn't think it was this one, was because you can see in the movie 3 floors, and this is a 2-story mall. But they had a basement, but they don't count that as one of the floors because it wasn't used by the public. But you can see in this picture, even though they only show 2 floors, you can see the stairs down, you can see the upper floor, and then the middle floor, so which was the bottom floor, and this was the basement. But when I saw it in the movie, they were on the bottom floor, you could see the upper floor, and you could see the staircase going down. And so I said, well, it's got to be a 3-story mall. And I had one person on Facebook say to me that it might be this mall in Paramus, which I went to and checked and had a great time at, but it was not that mall. And he said that was once 3 stories, it became 2 stories, but he didn't know how it became 2 stories. And there are ways that can happen. I just don't, obviously the impossible way is they lift the roof off and cut a story and then put the roof back down. But what usually happens in that case is they will take a floor and kind of close it off. I went to the mall from the movie North. If you've ever seen that movie, there's a mall in it, and they shot it in New Jersey because that's the only scene shot in New Jersey. But that mall looks so perfect, the one that they used. And so I showed the exterior of that mall. Then I went inside, and it's not the interior of the mall. The mall that they used was, I want to say like the Westwood Mall in California, but it was a mall that is no longer a mall. It's now the Google headquarters. So Google purchased a mall, and I would love to get in there. Like that to me is the most exciting thing. Like the idea of like an old mall that's now been converted into some other space. I was just at a mall. Let me just get this stuff away because I don't want to crinkle stuff in front of the mic. I was just at a mall called the Arnott Mall in Horseheads, New York, doing a comic book show. And the Arnott Mall, they had the Sears, and the Sears became the convention hall, and it was great. I thought it was really, really good. All right, I'm going to be opening the TaB soon, but not yet. Almost. We're getting close. It's still cold. I have found that cold drinks keep the, I don't know if it's like a new type of can they started using in my lifetime, but like I've had cold drinks. I was driving from New Jersey to Horseheads, which is 4 hours. Now, on the way, I stopped and got 2 energy drinks. I drank one, and then I took the other one to my hotel, and I pulled it out of the bag, and it was ice cold. And I was like, I don't know how that happened. This is my car. I had the heat on. So this is the present I got for my birthday, and I wanted to show it to you, and I want to show you the card. I'll show you the card second, and I'll show you the gift first. I just thought this was super cool. My wife found this, thought it was my kind of thing. I really love it. It's a little fake radio, Jingle Jams radio, and it's got like a knob on here, and I'm going to show you, and I hope that I can't imagine that I can't imagine there's a copyright strike on this, but so you turn on, and it plays music, and then I'm going to switch.
You're listening to ENN, or Elf News Network. Scoop Yuletide, reporting live from the North Pole. The elves are positively overwhelmed by Santa's nice list this year. For the past 3 years, the naughty list has been shrinking.
And I'm going to switch it again. Let's switch it.
This is your North Pole weatherman, Blizzard Bob, reporting live from the front steps of Santa's workshop. We are predicting over 100 inches of snow, and we are currently showing level 5 hot cocoa and marshmallows alert.
All right, let's see what's over here. Yeah, the music is the one I worry about. But so I listened to the music one plays like 3 songs. One of them sounds like the Jackson 5. I'm pretty sure it is not. But swipe that away. But somebody's sending me messages on Facebook that they're watching. So thank you. But just watch. But contribute. Use the chat here. Then we can all see. But anyway, this I thought was super cool. I played the one with like the news one, and it played for like 10 minutes, which kind of makes sense. I'm going to show you this. If you turn it on, I don't know if you'll be able to see with all the light here. No, you won't. Sort of. But you can see through it here because there's a light bulb, and you can see like the mechanics. And I mean, it's so cheap and easy to do this now. All you have to do is, put a little tiny MP3 player in there but it's great. It's like the cutest little Christmas present. So this is my birthday present, and I'm super excited about it. I live in a very retro home. That was why I purchased it. It was a home that had been owned by an elderly couple since the 80s. They obviously weren't as elderly in the 80s. They were pretty young, but they never updated the house, but they took great care of it. So I have a 1964 stove that is this color, and it's still in pretty great shape. I put a lot of miles on it, but I like that stove. All right, so this is the card that I got from my wife and kid, and I'm going to show you it does tricks, but there it is. It says, advance to the next level of fun today. Happy birthday. And my son wrote HBD because it couldn't be troubled to write happy birthday. He, by the way, said he might come down to try the TaB, and then he realized that it probably has gone bad, which it probably has. I will let you know, though. But it says here to press start. Let's try that. I'm going to turn off this light just to make it a little darker. So press start. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see the lights. And then it says to press this. And these are all lighting up here. You can see that. That's pretty great. I thought that was the coolest card. I don't think I've ever seen a card that did that. I've seen cards that do... I died. I've seen cards that did music, and I have one. I seem to always get, and I bet this card costs $15. I bet the card costs more than the radio. Let me see here. No, $8.59 though. My God. unless he really enjoys the taste of saccharin. Nick, my son is my son. He's lived in my house his whole life. He's had 1,000 tabs. So yes, he does enjoy the taste of saccharin. Until they discontinued it, we always had it in the fridge. So yes, you don't need to suggest to my son what he should be drinking. He's lived here for 12 years. He didn't live with you. If he lived with you, he'd be drinking New Coke. He lives here. Nick, I wanted to ask you, there was a Kmart in your area. Is it still around? I have, so I'm curious. I'm curious if the Kmarts have all gone. All right, I got some stuff here. Uh-oh, did that all fall out? I got some stuff here that my brother sent over for me that he bought at a garage sale for me. I am the person in my family that anytime people see things, they're like, oh, I know who would love this. Eddie and the Cruisers on DVD, which is great. Let's see. And then this says, I think this has a phone number on it, and I don't know who that is, so I'm going to cover that up. But it says, New York City response to World Trade Center attacks. So this was some kind of like news program or broadcast program. So it was like news, like a recorded off TV news thing, which I think is pretty great. There is still one here, but it's a mere fraction, but it's still there. That is shocking to me. I'm astonished. Nick, I'm coming to Florida someday, and we're going to go to that. If it's still there, if it's not there, we'll go to where it was, but I'm dying to see that. And then this, one of my favorite posters. Good movie, but amazing poster. Look at that. And this is the VHS copy of Streets of Fire. And I'm a big fan. I loved VHS, but I'm a big fan, particularly when they are former rental copies. I just love old rental copies, and I actually worked at this chain, West Coast Video. Now, I don't know if I can get it, if you can read that, but it says West Coast Video here, but you can see that there is another sticker under it from another company. Now, the problem with these stickers is if you peel this off, it'll just say void. It'll ruin the sticker. You can't reuse these. So I'd love to know what this other video company was, but I'll never be able to find out. But they must have bought this at some point used, and Streets of Fire. Very cool. All right. So let's open the TaB. Let's see how my TaB is doing. Then I'll show you because it's my birthday. I got my book about me. That's me as a little boy. I'll tell you about. I have this Casper, the friendly ghost I'm holding there. I have in the other room. I think it's the other room. I'm just looking to see if it's this room. No, but it came with a board game, so I actually still have it. So I could bring them out, but I'll leave Casper in the box. But I'll review that someday. But I think it's time. I think it's time to crack open the TaB. I got two glasses. I got a California glass. Look at this. This has the redwoods. And oh, look, there's Encounter at the LAX at the airport. And then what else is on here? Is Disneyland on here? It's got to be, right? Here's the Queen Mary, which is a ship on Long Beach Harbor. Used to be next to the Spruce Goose. There's Universal Studios right there. And then the San Diego Zoo. There's SeaWorld. There's San Diego Zoo and SeaWorld. And then where is Disneyland? Oh, Chinatown. Hearst Castle. The tram that runs up the side of the hill in the, I don't remember what the name of that section is, but it's, what does it say here? Palm Springs. So it says Aerial Tramway in Palm Springs, but there's another one called Angel's Flight that's in, I can't remember what the name of the Hispanic market area is, but there's an area where you can go, you want to get a taco or buy a big sombrero. It's like great. My friend Captain Marvelous, who did the artwork for my book, he used to sell his art there. I just can't remember what the name. Olvera Street. It was Olvera Street. But Disneyland did not make the cut for this. I'm kind of shocked. I don't see them. Yosemite. All right. So there's a lot of cool things on this one. There's the ice has melted a little bit. So whichever one I use, I'll dump the ice into the other one. This one, a souvenir of Niagara Falls, and it shows the big Horseshoe Falls as well as the Great Skylon Tower. I've been to the Skylon Tower, went up to the top of it. I did not get to ride on the Maid of the Mist the second time I was there. I apparently rode on that when I was a kid, but I don't have a strong memory of it. But when I went back as an adult, it was very windy that day, and they said that they weren't taking trips out on the Maid of the Mist to all of the places, and so I passed on it because it was still full price. All right. So now here's the thing. Here's the thing about TaB. Diet soda has a shorter shelf life than regular cola. When TaB was discontinued, I bought as many cases as I could because this was my go-to soda. When I was a kid, my grandma's house only had TaB. And so when I went to grandma's house, I drank TaB and I got to like TaB. And then when I got older, I would always buy TaB. And at my grocery store, they would always have 2 cases of TaB every order. And guess who bought both cases? Me. And they always just ordered 2. I bet one time they ordered 4 and I picked up my 2 and left. And so they probably said, oh, these other 2 didn't go until that guy came back a month later. We got to go back to ordering 2. So I'm not surprised TaB went away. I am surprised they haven't brought it back in a limited time, because it went away in 2020. But I'm surprised they haven't brought it back for a limited time. Let me show you guys this room. You'll notice that I have a pink light here. And the reason is this is the TaB room in my house. And I painted that TaB logo right up there. There we go. So let me crack this open. So I'm going to use my Niagara Falls cup. I transferred all the melted ice and water into there. So these things do not last forever, though. A diet soda does not have an infinite shelf life. However, it's new enough. I was going to drink it on the 1-year anniversary, and then that came and went. And so now I decided today was a good enough day. But they don't have an infinite shelf life. The good news about this is I know that it's still safe to drink. I did once on a podcast where no one could even see it. On a podcast once, I drank Billy beer, the Billy Carter beer, and then later found out that the can was all rusted on the inside. So I'm sorry that I did that. But I'm gonna crack this open. This is for you guys. Ooh, it doesn't want to crack. That's not a good sign. Wow, it really doesn't want to open. Get out of town. It does not want to open. Look at this. I'm gonna pull it all the way forward. No, it has decided not to open. So now I got to get something to press into it. This is shocking. This is a shocking turn of events. The last TaB on earth does not want to be opened. All right, let me see here. What do I have? I gotta have something. I have tools around here somewhere. Let me think. Oh, here we go. Got a screwdriver. All right, I'm gonna try to press this in. There it is. Well, it's still got the carbonation sound. I'm stunned that didn't want to open though. There you go. Last TaB. I don't know how many more TaBs exist anywhere in the world, but this is the last one I have. And here it goes. Ah, look at that. TaB soda. What a beautiful drink. All right. So, I mean, it looks perfect. Still doing that fizzy thing in the light here. But I have my concerns that it won't have its flavor. But let's see. Now you can still get TaB, and I do when you go to Disney World. If you go to the World of Coca-Cola, if you go to the top floor, you can order a TaB, and they'll give you one, and it's delicious because it comes right from the fountain. All right. It tastes like it's gone. It tastes like a TaB that is kind of flat and doesn't have all the flavor. Because what happens is the flavor actually just disappears. I don't know where it goes. I mean, maybe it's at the bottom of the can. But I do taste TaB in it. But you know what it tastes like? It tastes like if you had a TaB or a soda, right? Any kind of soda. Just imagine the flavor of soda you like. But it tastes like you had a soda and you were drinking it and you had a lot of ice in there, and then the ice melted into it and you hadn't touched it for like a half hour, and the movie was going real good, and you pick it up, you go to take a drink, and it's kind of watered down. That's what it tastes like. So it doesn't taste rotten in any way, but well, it is a happy birthday. I'll tell you, I did get to try TaB one more time. I didn't want to wait too long with this. I think I already have, but I felt if I waited any longer, this thing would go would go totally sideways, but it has not. So that's good. I like that. All right. Well, I will finish this. I'll probably finish it before we end here, but I want to show you a few more things. So I got my book about me. This was, when I was a kid, I got this Dr. Seuss book. I don't know if this was done by him. It says Dr. Seuss and another person. A lot of these Dr. Seuss books were done by P.D. Eastman. But this was my book about me. And I got this as a kid, and I loved this book. And I took it everywhere, and I'll show you the pages in it because you would fill it out. And so my son did one of these, and every one of my nieces and nephews got one. And every one of them got one, and I don't know how many of those got used, but I hope all of them. So here we go. So it says here, Merry Christmas, 1979. So I would have been 5. Merry Christmas from Mandy and Lee. That's my 2 cousins. It says my name, Anthony, which is my middle name. When I was a kid, I always went by my middle name from the time I was very little. It wasn't until I became an adult that I started going by my first name. It says age 5, so I was 5. So somebody wrote it there for me. But that was my 5-year-old handwriting. Boy, that Y. Boy. I put my Captain America sticker here, and you can see at some point I regretted putting it there, so I tried to peel it off, and it did not come off. And so, my book about me. All right, first of all, got to know if I'm a boy or a girl. I'm a boy. Let's see what's on the second page. I weighed 40 pounds, and at some point, I weighed 50, but then I lost 10 pounds and went back to 40. So started at 40, went to 50, went back to 40. I don't know how that worked out. I was 4'0", and I had 10 teeth on each side. So 10 teeth up top and 10 on the bottom. And I drew words on my teeth, but I can't read what they said. There's a good story coming up. This is what my hair looked like. I drew my hair. That was the size of my hand. It's a little bigger now, not much, but got a little bigger. My hand is this big. I drew around it with a pencil, and this is how big my foot was. You can tell I had a lot of trouble drawing my foot. My foot kept moving. I couldn't do it, so I got like 18 feet there. All right, so the other thing, in my book about me, I had to draw my nose, and so that's how apparently I thought my nose looked. I like these unfortunate noses they drew on the side. Dr. Seuss was like, look, you might look like a weirdo, so we're going to put some weirdo noses in there for you. My eyes were green. I wear glasses. I don't wear glasses. I wasn't sure. I don't think I wore them back then, but I checked like everything. I checked I don't have freckles. I checked I do have freckles. Where do I live? And I crossed off every single. I apparently was in the Ivory Coast. I was in Rwanda, Upper Volta, Zambia. There's my old address. I guess I'll cover it up. It's somebody's address now. So, but there's if you wanted to write a letter to me, that's how you did it. And if you wanted to call me, you can call my number, which was 4, there's a 7, there's a 3, there's a 5. I have no idea all the numbers, but that was how you could call me. Actually, I think I can make it out. I think I can make it out because the exchange is familiar because it's this area. Let's see. I lived in an apartment house at that point in time. It's actually a condo. We lived in a condo, but condo was not a choice. My house had 3 windows, 7 beds. Ooh, 7 beds. Is that right? It probably was because there's 5 kids and 2 parents. No, my parents didn't have separate beds. I don't know why it says we had 7 beds. I mean, none of the boys, we didn't share beds, but we shared bedrooms. But my parents shared a bed. I lied. There were 15 forks in my house. All right, how many lights? Okay, my favorite food. Now I'm going to tell you, 2 out of 3 of these, I still dig. My favorite food is chicken. Fried chicken is my favorite food. It was my favorite food then. My second favorite food, it says hot dog. And I love hot dogs, man. I absolutely love hot dogs. I try not to eat either of those foods too often, But those are my favorites. I did have today, because it was my birthday, I went over to Wawa and got a hot dog, which that was the last time I bought a hot dog at Wawa was on my birthday last year. And my third favorite is candy, which I'm not big into candy anymore, but it used to be. There you go. There's my birthday. It's today. And if you want to get me a present, so it says here, if you want to get me a present, here's what I want most. And I got to tell you, we're talking almost 50 years later. I still want the same thing. Godzilla. If you could bring me a Godzilla, that's what I want. It says, but if it costs too much, forget it, which I did not write. I'm surprised I didn't cross that out. My teacher's name was Mrs. McGinnis. Says, I'm a very good student. I'm a so-so student. I am awful, which I checked. My favorite subject was music. Yeah, that sounds right. My favorite book was Sesame Street, which I wrote a book called Sesame Place. Let's see here. My favorite pet is, and I scribbled a lot of things. This says rabbit, but I put my brother Tom my little brother was my favorite pet. It was 50 steps from my mailbox to the first store. That can't be true. I did not live in a city or anything. I don't know that it was 50 steps. Those are big steps. Talk about how many buttons I have. All right, this is like my favorite page. This is the page that I might even cry from this. This is beautiful. My very special autograph collection. This is the part of the book that I think is so important. So it says most kids can't get them all. An uncle's autograph, and there is my wonderful uncle, the late Tony Nini. If you watch my videos, when I come down the stairs and you see my bar, if you watch, anytime I pan over to the bar, there is a picture of him with a horse on the bar. He owned a bunch of horses. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. Then I have my Aunt Judy. So she actually is my neighbor. We live less than a mile apart, so I'm not neighbor, but I could walk to her house. I have. And then my three great aunts, they've all passed away, but Aunt Eleanor, Aunt Joe, and Aunt Adelaide. That is pretty sweet. Then I have some cousins signed it, including my cousin Anthony. This is nice. All right, there's my grandparents. I just love this. This is my grandparents' signatures, which is so great. I mean, they're long gone, both of them, but so beautiful to be able to see my grandparents' signatures are still there. Autograph of a man with a beard, and that's my dad's autograph. So my dad, he has not had a beard. He doesn't have one now. My mom signed it too, but that was not part of the deal. There was no spot for that. My friend Lisa, she signed it, and then her mom, who was a hair cutter, signed it and drew a little picture for me. And I still see Mrs. Kostecki every now and then. We went to On the Border for lunch not that long. Well, I guess now it's probably 2 years ago, but got to see her again. She was great. And then I love this, a delivery man's autograph, and it looks like it says Lorraine Fishman. So this was just a lady that delivered something to the house one day. She's in this book forever. My best friend's name was Adam. Spelled backwards, it's Damned. Okay, I get mad at people. I've kicked someone. I admit to that. I've hit someone. Yes, I have. I've pushed someone. I yanked hair, and then I'm sorry I did it, and I was like, no, and then I wrote yes and crossed that out. So I don't think I was. My longest walk was 14 miles. Man, I was really going. There's the TaB, by the way. If you came for the TaB, little TaB sip. My longest swim was 2 miles, 2 feet. I measured it out. This is my book about me by Dr. Seuss. My longest fish, the longest fish I had ever caught at the age of 5 was 16 feet long. Take that, greatest catch, people. I don't think they have. And then my longest hair was Popeye inches long, which I then at some point crossed it out because I was like, Popeye is not a number, you goofy kid. All right, I can draw pictures, and they said, can I draw this bird? And I think for a 5-year-old, I did a relatively good job, and I named him Star. Let's see. I collected the weirdest thing as a kid. I still collect a ton of weird stuff. But I collected stamps, right? That's pretty normal. Seashells, that's on there. Coins, string, it says. I don't know that I collected string, but it says I did. Maybe I had a ball string. Butterflies, I crossed that out. I was like, no. Walrus whiskers, no. And then what else? And I filled in the thing that I collected, and I have a clear memory of collecting this. Coupons. I collected coupons. If there was a coupon for a product I liked, I wanted to keep the coupon. And my mom would always want to use them, because she wanted to get that discount. But I wanted to collect them. I had a nice little collection. I did not save my coupon collection from the old days. I wish I did. I got to an age where I was like, well, that's pretty silly. All right, let's see. I don't sing in the shower. It says, I considered myself very neat, and I like to get up at 11 o'clock. And then when I grow up, I want to be an artist. I drew myself as an artist. I wish I'd become an artist, but I did not. So I like to write stories, it says. So this is, now just to point out, I have multiple published books. I have another one that I'm working on right now, which is kind of a revisit of a book we already had. By the way, click the thumbs up if you can. More thumbs up means more people will see this. So I would very much appreciate it. Be a Fonzie and go, hey, you press it. So here's the story I wrote. And for years, I had no idea what this meant. I wrote, go, 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 fur. And then I wrote, go, no, go near, underdog. And I realized when I got older and I got the Underdog DVD set that it was go, go, gopher. That was my story. I made up. I just literally wrote down what was on the TV. I finished writing it on January 12th, 1980. So I worked on this thing for a solid week and 6 days. And 5 days. Week and 5 days. I have a lot of buttonholes. Buttonholes. And I wish I was a giraffe, which I still do. I did not wish I was a giraffe. I wish I was a giraffe. And there's a Spider-Woman sticker in here. So that was my book about me from when I was a little boy. And now, all these years later, I still have it. I'm glad I saved it. And that's my book. Now you guys have seen my book about me. All right. Let's see. I got something weird. I brought these out because I wanted to have these down here, because a lot of times I'm talking about things and I say, oh, I wish I had those. Just pardon me one moment. Got to have another sip. I always think I wish I had these with me, because I talk about a lot of video game stuff. And when I talk about Nintendo started by selling these cards. I think they're called Hanafuda cards. And they actually still make them. So I purchased the set. I learned how to play it. And I have played it, but I don't remember how to play it anymore. But look at the Nintendo seal. So Nintendo, prior to being a video game company, they made these cards. And I want to show you. They're pretty like ornate, glamorous, awesome. The game is rather complicated. I feel like when I learned it, I felt like if I played it on a weekly basis, I'd never forget it. But because I did not, I knew I'd forget it right away. The cards are real thick. Hello, Elizabeth. Yeah, they still make these, because these are not old, and you can see they're the same quality as before. And as I showed, they got the Nintendo seal is still there. But you would have to match them, but there were rules, like you had to memorize, sort of like our cards where you have different suits. You had different types of cards, different images on them, like this one has a deer on it. And you had to memorize which ones went together. And I mean, I think it's probably like if you aren't used to playing with our cards, like the standard traditional, I think must be British. I bet the traditional deck, I don't know where the traditional like regular Hoyle deck of playing cards comes from. I don't know if it's an American invention, or I think it has to predate America. I have like a Revolutionary War era replica deck of playing cards. So I feel like it has to be like 500 years old. But that deck of cards, I guess if you weren't familiar with it, maybe you wouldn't understand. And if you weren't familiar with our number system, maybe you wouldn't know the progression of the numbers or something. But yeah, I always wanted to show these off. They're tiny. I mean, you can see I'm not a giant. They're They're very, very small. But I think part of the reason they're small is because you have to have so many of them out at one time while you play. This has the Nintendo logo on there at the very bottom. But I have only played a few times. I tried to get my friends into it. We just never had time because we occasionally, when I go to do conventions, me and a couple of my buddies will play gin rummy. But hello, thank you. I'm so glad. This room is. Let me give you a quick. I'll give you a quick spin around without making anybody dizzy. So this is the basement. I do the videos here in the basement. This is my couch, which I've had a lot of people sign. There's a couple celebrity signatures on there I'll show off one day. But this couch used to be in my parents' living room, and my parents had a rule that we were not allowed to sit on this couch. And then one day my mom said, we're getting rid of that couch. And I was like, the one I was never allowed to sit on? And I was like, not only am I taking it, but I'm going to have your grandkids draw pictures on it. And then over here, I got a little TV, and I got a whole area so I could sit here and play video games over there. I got a Dreamcast set up. And then this painting I purchased for $7 at a thrift shop, and it has these two kids on it with the Muppets. And I felt like somebody needed to buy this because you don't donate a picture of your kids. I feel like that's such a shame. Like this memory of I'm assuming it was like a foreclosure or something, and but I have those kids. And then over here is Carol and Paula. Look at that. And Carol and Paula, thank you. I'm glad. I have fabric markers. I went to draw on it the other day, and my markers are all dried up, so I got to buy new ones. But Carol and Paula they're still around, and they did this show called The Magic Garden. And I went to a show to see Carol and Paula when I was a kid. And so did my wife, but I don't believe we were at the same show, but we went to the same place, which was at the mall, to see them perform. And my wife got the autographed picture, which I was not allowed to buy. My parents weren't going to pay for it, but my mother-in-law, so my son's grandma, my mother-in-law paid for it, and so it's signed to my wife, and so now I got it. So that's why I got married. And then I got more stuff over here, including a really cool hand-drawn Charlie the Tuna that Joe Waz drew for me at a show, and then the TaB logo over there. And we're drinking TaB tonight. TaB is the last TaB I had in the world is right here with me. The can didn't want to open because it's been out of production for 2000. We're going into 2024, and it went out of production in November. So it has been 3 years. So we're looking at 3 years that this can has been unopened. Kind of tastes a little flat, but not too bad. TaB. All right. Wanted to show you, we did the Nintendo thing, and I wanted to re-show, just for anybody that just joined, my card, because I thought this was super cool. This is my birthday card I got from my wife and kid, and it's happy birthday. And I thought when I opened it, I thought it would play music, and it didn't. And I was like, oh, okay, must be broken. I started looking like in here, and I saw all the parts. And I said, well, what is it supposed to do? But then I saw it has instructions here, and it says light up and play sounds. Press start. So you have to press start. There's no button here. There is a button here, but it says press start, and then it says press the A button repeatedly. So press start, and then it is lighting up. You can probably see it just a little bit, but in person, there's real bright lights here. So, oh, actually, you know what? There don't have to be real bright lights. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. Right? I mean, it's got to be the coolest card I've ever gotten. So, all right. Well, that was it. That's all I got. I want to do more live streams. I got a lot of stuff I like to show off, and sometimes I feel like it's really cool to have the one-on-one, conversations with you guys. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad you guys are watching. I appreciate the thumbs up. I like getting a few of those. Does anybody have any questions before we close? I'll give you a little bit of time. You can think of them. I can give relationship advice if you need that. Legal advice. if you would, if you would like someone to hide you from the police, I know some people. I have 15 forks in my house. Your dad's a Nintendo fan? Is that you're saying the card? Yeah, Nintendo now spans many generations, which I love. When I was a kid, it was like just a few people. Thank you very much. I will let Dana know. I will be seeing him in 10 days. So in 10 days, I will be heading to GalaxyCon in Columbus. We are doing Drunk on Disney live there. I will be at GalaxyCon in Richmond. As a matter of fact, I am looking forward to it. Let me tell you a little bit about my travel schedule for the next year, because I got a bunch of stuff planned. So in 10 days, I'm going to Columbus, Ohio. On either the way there or the way back, I'm going to go to the Christmas Story house. They've turned it into a museum, and they bought like the Bumpus's house. By the way, if you guys are watching, click thumbs up for me. I want those thumbs up. It would be the best birthday present you could give me right now. Just click that thumbs up if you haven't already. But I'm going to try to go to the Christmas Story house. I'm almost positive I'm going there. So I'm going to go to the Christmas Story house. And then on the way back, I'm going to stop in Pittsburgh, because Mr. Rogers did a Pittsburgh. He shot everything in Pittsburgh, but he did a Christmas special one year, and he shot that in Pittsburgh. And so I found out the locations from it. There's only a few locations you see outside of all the studio stuff, but I mean, Mr. Rogers was there. So, and one of the locations, I can't wait to show them to you. One of them was so hard to track down. It was so difficult. And I tracked it down based on a broken crack, like a little crack in a brick. So I love Mr. Rogers too, Nick. I went to Pittsburgh before. I've been to the studio, and I got a tour from David Newell. Mr. McFeely gave me a personal tour. Me, my wife, and my parents. He gave us a tour of the studio, which was just amazing. And I went through there on my way to Columbus before, and I stopped in Pittsburgh and did a location from Mr. Rogers where he went to the grocery store. I love that man, and I think it's kind of neat to get like the 30 plus year later look at the locations where he was. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's on the way to and from Columbus. And then in Columbus, I'm planning on doing videos on a bunch of different things. One of them is I want to go to Rack's, which is a roast beef place, and there's one not very far from Columbus. Jesse Owens lived in Columbus when he was at OSU, so I'm planning on going there. He was at UltraCon. Yeah, he's a wonderful man. David Newell and I we did a couple panels together, which was great. And we had so much fun doing the one panel, because I think he early on in the panel, he remembered me from when he had met me, but early on he realized that we could have such a good conversation. I would love to do AwesomeCon. Is AwesomeCon is in Washington, D.C. It used to be Ben Penrod, and now it's somebody else that promotes it. I don't know who promotes it, but I did AwesomeCon once when Ben was running it many, many years ago, and I did like it. I'd love to come back. So next year I got Richmond. I was just looking at some stuff in the Washington, D.C. area to check on the way to Richmond. I did when I just went through there the last time. I always drive now because I love stopping at places. The last time I stopped on the way, I went to where they filmed the Blair Witch Project, which was amazing, because I loved that movie. And to see it in person, and I showed this on the video, I got there and I couldn't find one of the stones. Like all the stuff was there, which I was really happy about, because there's like an angel that you see at one point in the movie, like an angel sculpture, and it would be very easy to steal it. Like you could probably kick it off. I did Hollywood Cemetery. I've been to Hollywood Cemetery a couple times. I went there. I'll tell you, I'll put a pin in that, because I got to tell you, I have a great story. I don't know if it's great, but I have a story about Hollywood Cemetery. I've been there multiple times. I definitely will go back. But I was at the Blair Witch Cemetery, and like this angel statue, I was just thinking that like if you were a jerk, you could, because people had stolen the sign that said "Welcome to Burkittsville." People had like ripped off the real sign twice, so they had to put a new sign that didn't look like the old sign, so nobody would steal it again. And like this angel, I was looking at it, I was like, somebody could easily steal this. And then there was a infant tombstone that's shown in the movie. It's like this big. Somebody could steal that. I mean, it's not that hard to steal some of these things. And I'm glad people didn't do that because, it's in a cemetery and it kind of, it's so, I mean, that's, if you want to talk about bad juju, that is the way to get some. But I did notice that one of the tombstones I couldn't find. And I was like, I wonder if somebody took it, because is that possible? And then after being in this cemetery, and you could see it all in the video, and being like swarmed by bugs for the entire time I was in the cemetery, I realized that the tombstone had been turned around since the movie. And that kind of creeps me out. I don't know how that happened. Hollywood Cemetery. So Hollywood Cemetery is in Richmond, Virginia. There is a place on the way there that had a really cool mural that was like, it was something like, "You'll be here soon" or something. And it had like the cemetery, "See you soon." It had the Grim Reaper or something. I remember liking that, but I've been to that cemetery a couple times. The last time I was in Richmond, which was just recently, November. So what was that? Are we in November? October. It was last month. And I was just there right before Halloween. And I went to Hollywood Cemetery that day, not to see the president's tombstones and all the other stuff, which I have seen, because they have 3 presidents, I believe, buried there. They have either 2 presidents in Jefferson Davis or 3 presidents in Jefferson Davis. I think they have Monroe. I don't remember. But they have multiple. Pierce, I believe, is buried there. Franklin Pierce. But there's multiple U.S. presidents buried there. It's a beautiful old cemetery. But what I wanted to go there for the last time was I had found this movie called Finnegan Begin Again. And I had never, here we got Elizabeth is on top of things. So it's Tyler, Monroe, and Davis. So it's 3, but Jefferson Davis was president of the Confederacy. That's what it is. And his grave is located, when the first time I went there, they had all the flags and they've since taken those down. But his grave is located, it looks out, it was so beautiful where his grave is. And I assume, because it looks out onto all this rock and to like the lake and the river, I guess, the Richmond River, but it is so beautiful, and I assume it was that beautiful. Like, it's one of those things that you're like, well, hundreds of years ago, this looked like this. That's why this is just rocks and stuff. And that's why they chose this spot for this grave. While I was there, I had found out that there was a Mary Tyler Moore movie that was shot in Richmond, Virginia. It was called The Pyramid. Yes, the pyramid is like a monument to Confederate soldiers that had died, right? I believe, if I remember correctly, because we were talking about them and talking about the different monuments, and my friend John, we were saying, well, it's not the best to see Confederate monuments, but a monument to people that died in battle, those are just soldiers. They're just regular people, So I think and it's huge. But I'll tell you, Finnegan Begin Again was this movie that Mary Tyler Moore shot in Richmond, and I had never heard of it. And so I watched it in my hotel room the night before. Now, I had already skimmed through it and found the locations, so I knew all the locations, but I had not watched the movie. So I had scrubbed through the movie, and every time they got to a new location, I tried to find it because I wanted to have a fresh memory of seeing this movie. So I watched the movie, and then the next day went to all the locations from it. And that was a really cool experience. And the last scene in the movie, and this is second to last. So the last scene of the movie, I won't spoil. So if you want to see the movie, you can see it. But the second to last scene is at Hollywood Cemetery. And in the movie, they had one character, Sam Waterston's character, is an undertaker. And so he was tending to a funeral, and they had a hole dug in the ground, and they dug the hole in an area that there is no grave. So I was there in person. There's no grave there. And they actually put fake tombstones around it, but there was one grave in the front that was there then that is still there. Obviously, that was the real grave. The rest of them were fake. The movie was filmed in the Fan District Yes, that's it. That's it. And Sylvia Sidney played an old lady in Mars Attacks. So if you ever saw Mars Attacks, she's the wife in this, and she was like a beautiful Hollywood actress in like the 40s and 50s. And then in Mars Attacks, she plays the grandma that has the old Tom Jones records. So uh, I feel like not spoiling anything, but it's I'm not going to spoil who died, but a character in the movie died. There's a lot of old people in the movie. One of them died. They have this hole dug, and then Mary Tyler Moore ends up falling into the hole, and it's a very funny, slapsticky scene in this movie, which is kind of like a dramedy. So it has like really wild comedy scenes and then really serious scenes. Anyway, I went to where that was shot, right there in Hollywood Cemetery, and it was pouring rain that day. The other time where I shot a video, which you can see on the channel, where I showed the president's graves, there was a point where I got out to look at Monroe's crypt. So Monroe, it's like almost like a big box, and you have to kind of like really like peek in to see inside of it. It's like got bars. It's like very odd looking, but he's got this crypt there. And I went to his crypt, and I got to where the sign was, and so I was like, well, I'll just get out and get some footage real quick, because I've already been to his grave one other time where I didn't even take any pictures. So I'll just take some. So I parked my car, put it in park, and I didn't turn the car off. And then she was in Beetlejuice. I have never seen Beetlejuice. So that is, and I almost saw it this year at Halloween. It's one of those movies that, obviously it's one I would love to see. I just have never sat down to see it. And every time I go to see it, I'm like, well, let me wait till Halloween, and then Halloween comes and I forget. So hopefully next year I'll watch that. But I've never seen the original one or the sequel. I just never got around to seeing it. And I like Tim Burton movies, and I like Alec Baldwin movies. Especially at that time. I loved Alec Baldwin movies. Anyway, so I get out of my car to go take this footage of James Monroe's grave. And I'm outside. It's raining that day too, but just drizzling, like a light drizzle. And I leave my car in drive, and I was like, I'll just walk up there and see this and then come back down. And I was like, I'm not going to take my keys with me, because who is going to be walking through the cemetery in the rain looking for a car to steal? Like the odds of that, even in Richmond, or it's even though that's a city, there's not going to be a homeless guy that's standing around looking to steal a car or something. So I was like, my car will be fine. I'll leave the car running. I get out and I start walking towards it, and then I realized I didn't shut the door. But I was like, who cares? I left the door open, car's in park, and it's sitting there in the rain. And I walk up to the grave, and it's like, it's not right where I thought it was. So I kind of walk around. So the sequel hasn't come out yet. Okay. So hopefully, maybe next year I'll see both. But I walk around the cemetery. I walk over to the area where the grave is, and I have to keep winding around, because it wasn't right where the sign was. And so after walking for like 3 or 4 minutes, I was like, I should go back and find my car. And I kid you not, it took me 15 minutes to find my car. And I was convinced somebody had stolen it. But that's a beautiful cemetery. I do love cemeteries. I try not to show too many cemeteries. I do show them in videos a lot because I love to visit them. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like cemeteries are kind of depressing, and I think visually they're interesting, but they're not super interesting. Like going to Don Knotts' grave, to me, is on a video, is less interesting than going to a hot dog stand that Don Knotts once ate at that has the signed picture of Don Knotts on the wall. Because if I go to the hot dog stand, I can order a hot dog and think about Don Knotts instead of going to his grave, which I have been to, which is just kind of sad because Don Knotts is there, but he's gone. By the way, I want to show you guys this. I almost forgot. So I looked up, because it's my birthday and because I'm an egomaniac. Let me just got a million messages here. Okay. All right. So I Googled my own name and I said, well, let me see Guy Hutchinson's birthday. And amazingly, very excitingly, Google knew my birthday. And then it says here, but then it had some stuff here that I just loved reading. Stuff that is not true at all. So here, under allfamousbirthdays.com, when you just look at it before you even click, it says, Guy Hutchinson is one of the most popular and richest broadcaster who was born on November 22nd. One of the most popular and richest. Man, I must be doing well. Or they must be doing terrible, really. If all the other broadcasters are making less. But let's see here. So it has my birth. It says where I was born, which is right. It says I'm a Scorpio. My birthday countdown is now 365 days, because I guess they counted it from this morning. Explore Guy Hutchinson's net worth, age, height, birthday, his family, his spouse, his parents, his body measurements. Oh, I can't wait to find out. It says my occupation is a broadcaster, which is no longer true, but I was on WHWH radio for years. All right, here's the part I love. I am one of the richest and most popular broadcaster, and it's not plural. I'm one of the richest and most popular broadcaster. I have a net worth of $5 million. See, I didn't know it was a leap year. Look at the big brain on Nick. Thank you, Nick. I did not know that. This part's right. It says I'm an American author, a broadcaster, a theme park historian, and comedian. I don't really claim all those titles, but they are ones that have been written. Like, I don't know. I feel like I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine about, he was like, well, you're not a historian. A real historian is somebody that wears white gloves and stuff. And I was like, well, all right, that's true. It's probably true. And I was like, but I'll tell you this, Nick, I appreciate the kind words. I know the price of every trash can that's at Sesame Place. And I know I have the receipt from when they purchased them in 1979. And that to me is some kind of history. It says, according to our records, Guy Hutchinson is possibly single. My wife will be so sad to hear this, and has not been previously engaged. As of January 12th, 2023, that's when they checked in on me, apparently. Guy Hutchinson is not dating anyone, so I'm sad and lonely, apparently. They have no records of past relationships. Now, my body measurements, thank God, they do not know. My height and weight are unknown, according to this website. Let's see, what does it say here? Hold on. Hedge ranks him on the most popular broadcaster. He is ranked on the elite list of famous people born in the United States. I don't know where it pulls. It pulls this information from somewhere. So then there's another one. I feel like some of these might just be the same thing. They're just like grabbing information off Wikipedia or whatever. Like BuzzLearn says Guy is listed as a successful writer who was born in the year 1974. He is also ranked. It's taking me a second on this because this is one of those really ad-filled websites where every time you scroll an ad pops up. It says he is ranked as the richest person list from the United States. And then it says his name is Guy and his last name is Hutchinson. So they got some facts in there. My birth flower is chrysanthemum. My birth sign is passive. My birth sign and modality is fixed water. I don't know what any of this means. They don't have my height. They don't have my weight. They have my dream net worth. They say, okay, well, now this site says my net income, not even my net worth, is $1 million to $8 million. They made it for my primary success as a writer. Writing booze books, apparently. Apparently, you guys should start doing it. Apparently, I'm super rich from this. Frequently asked questions. Why is Guy Hutchinson famous? He is a successful writer. Where is he from? See if they know. Oh, they don't know. How tall is he? Height not available. How much does he earn? They don't know. Marital status not available. All right. Wait, what's this? I don't know who Dan Filbert is. List Dan Filbert. Apparently, somebody named Dan Filbert and I are connected in some way. All right, let's see. There was one other one that I saw in here that was funny. Born Glory has the other Guy Hutchinson, which is pretty cool. Today's celebrity was the other Guy Hutchinson. Now they just have his birth and death date. He was born February 7th, 1884, and died December 9th, 1941. So right after Pearl Harbor happened, the other Guy Hutchinson died. There is a picture of him. I'll show it to you. The other Guy Hutchinson actually went to school in the same town I went to high school. So we both went to high school in the same town. He went to the expensive Lawrenceville Prep School, which I have planned to show in a video. I have not, but they filmed IQ there. There was a movie about it. It's a very famous school, but that's the other unrelated Guy Hutchinson. And he went to the Lawrenceville Prep School. I went down the street to the Catholic school. I went to St. Paul's School. Very different eras, though. He died in 1941. But if you go, it says for the other Guy Hutchinson, comedian, and you click on me, which I will gladly take that, but I do not believe I am a comedian. I'm friends with many people that are, but I think to be a comedian, you have to go to comedy clubs and work and be heckled. And I mean, I've been on stage at a comedy club, but I certainly have not eked out a living at it. That's not how I made all my money on the Buzz, what was that page? Buzzpeople.net. So, all right, people. Well, I appreciate it. Spending my birthday with you was a great time. I'm glad we got to do this. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going to the Philadelphia Thanksgiving Day Parade. So I'm going to take some video. I go there before it starts. So I get there about a half hour before the parade starts. And I look at all the balloons as they're filling them up and getting them ready, and and see all the stuff, how they line it up. So I'll show you how they do all that. I did a video last year there, but it was 3 minutes long. So this year I'll certainly exceed that. And I'll show you a little bit behind the scenes. I like to get there before the parade starts, and then right after the parade starts, I get the heck out of there. Because you'll see, but I'll show you. You can see the whole thing. If you get there early, you get to see it all. If you wait, you have to wait and see the whole parade, which takes hours. So I'll check out that whole parade. And next month, I'm going to New York City, and I have not done a video in New York City yet, I don't believe. So this will be the first time. Pretty excited. I go to New York City a decent amount, but I just haven't gone in the past year when I've been doing daily videos. So I just have never done a video there. But I'm going to be going to see the Rockettes, and I remember a special from my youth, Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis in A Christmas Dream, where they go see the Rockettes. And so I tracked down all the locations from that TV special, and I'll be going to them as well as the Rockettes. So I'll show you all that, and it'll be a lot of fun. So until next time, thank you guys. I will probably do a live stream very soon. So I might be doing one tomorrow night. We'll see. But definitely, if not tomorrow night, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be doing another one. So thanks, guys. I'll see you in the future.